Hi, my name is Deborah, and I'm back here with the Hope Project at Resonate Church. I'm here with my friend Brittany from Wise. So, how are you doing today, Brittany?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do for Wise.
So I'm the program director. I oversee our shelter program as well as our outreach program. We serve primarily victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking.
Okay. So, what does human trafficking look like in your population that you serve?
Um, in our population, it can look different. Sometimes it is the more traditional what you first think of when you hear about sex trafficking. So sometimes we do work with people who, were in a forced prostitution situation. Um, but more often than not, it is people who they have a domestic violence relationship that's sort of crossed the line into human trafficking.
Okay, yeah. So, what do you think that makes somebody really vulnerable in a survivor of domestic violence or sexual abuse to trafficking?
So, what would make somebody more likely to become a survivor? It's hard to say. There are certainly certain situations like economic struggles that would make someone more likely to be victimized, somebody who has less social supports. But we really do see survivors from all income levels. And for us, looking at our population, it's really hard to say that it affects only one type of person. A lot of our survivors are coming from an impoverished background, but we certainly still see survivors that, are wealthy as well.
Yes, that's true. So, would you say people can heal from this?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first steps is definitely getting out of the situation, which is a huge part of what we can help people do. So sometimes our clients are still in the abusive home, and so we'll help them plan how they're going to leave. We definitely advocate people leave as soon as possible, but some survivors aren't ready to leave. They might be scared. There are oftentimes a lot of threats. And so we may safety plan with them at the time, have them hide an emergency phone on their property somewhere. We may have them set up a safe word with a neighbor that they can text so that the neighbor knows they need emergency help. And then once they leave, then they can work through any kind of goals they have. And a lot of times those goals are counseling, um, and healing in general. So, unraveling the abuse itself. One of the things we've noticed has been so great about the anti human trafficking movement, really, is the awareness that it's bringing to people. So, there's more trainings, there's more informationals, there's information about it everywhere, which is amazing because not only are our staff better at recognizing when someone is both a survivor of domestic violence and sex trafficking, but a lot of our clients are very aware of it too. So they come in with this understanding. Um, and that kind of puts a new lens on the abuse itself. Most of our survivors, they're abusers or traffickers. They use a lot of manipulation, and a lot of redefining reality for them, or gaslighting. So they come in and start unraveling all the different ways that they were abused, that they weren't quite seeing when they were in the middle of it. And um, identifying trafficking is just another way that they're able to see how they were exploited.
Yeah, that's true. And to know, there's no shame in getting help, you know. And the counseling looks a lot different for somebody that's a victim of human trafficking than what it would be for domestic violence or sexual abuse. I think it's more intense. Is that not right?
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Some of our survivors that come in for, where it didn't rise to the level of trafficking. Um, yeah, I would say that sometimes their counseling could be. I mean, it's really dependent upon the person too, and what they've been through beforehand. A lot of times, people's childhood experiences of trauma also are influencing what they've
Right.
gone through as an adult. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to unravel all of that.
Now, do you guys offer like group therapy for your ladies?
We do not do any therapy, so but we do
Okay.
offer group support.
Okay.
So what we do with that is we advertise it, and then we bring, we kind of see how many people we have, and we break into groups. And if we do recognize that we have certain people that fit a certain abuse type, like we have, 5 or so survivors that also experience trafficking, then we try to group them together. And then it's peer group support, so they can share their experiences. Our advocate kind of facilitates the meeting, so they'll bring their curriculum. But if we get to a group support meeting and survivors want to take it in another direction, we let them do that. We're really there to like moderate and kind of help, but it's really them that they really lead their groups.
Exactly. So, what can we do as a public to combat human trafficking?
I think a huge piece is the awareness that people like you are obviously working really hard on, making sure that everybody's aware that human trafficking doesn't occur only outside of our community. It's happening inside of our community as well, and it's happening not just between a stranger and a group of people, but sometimes it's happening within what might appear to be a loving relationship, or what
Right.
maybe started as a loving relationship. So I think a huge piece is awareness and knowing that it's not, it doesn't really always fit into a certain stereotype. So being aware that you might have a friend that's experiencing this right now, and then being open to them when they come for support. So, I think one of the strongest tactics that an abuser or a trafficker might use would be isolation, sort of creating situations where their victim ends up isolated from their friends. So they might create a situation that leads to a fight, or they might create a situation with family that forces the victim to choose a side. And that's just how they erode their social support over time until they're completely isolated. So being aware of that and being ready to accept your family and friends back in, and help them when they are ready to leave, I think is a huge piece of what we can do. And if I'm being honest, I think this community does a lot of things really well. When COVID hit, we had people coming to our shelter, dropping off PPE that was, desperately needed. We have people dropping off diapers and paper towels and sanitizing wipes. This community really comes out in droves when we need them. So, I think supporting nonprofits is a huge piece of that too.
So, what communities does WISE service?
So we serve Newaygo County, Mecosta County, and Osceola County. Our physical shelter is in Big Rapids, which can be challenging for people who live in Newaygo County. And if we're ever able to expand our shelter in the future, I think Newaygo County is probably where we would want to expand to. Um,
Okay.
right now it's challenging, but we can use, there's different funds and different services that you can use in order to facilitate people continuing to go to school in Newaygo County, or continuing to be employed in Newaygo County until they do get set up with housing there.
Yeah, and we do have a home that will be open for women in Muskegon. Hopefully it'll be open in the spring, so it'll be I believe it's 6 beds and then a house mother. So, so yeah, that's great. And then we're still working on opening our children's home as well, and we're hoping that'll be ready by the fall of 2021. So the COVID hit us very hard as well. I mean, we have our survivors that are having to get counseling through like Zoom, like what we're on right now. And being isolated has been very hard for them, a lot of triggers that come back. So, we do group therapy as well, and so it's great that we have resources in our community that we can connect with and work together as a team. So that's amazing, and I know we're part of the domestic violence task force here in Newaygo, and then we'll be starting a human trafficking task force as well. We're working together with the Newaygo police. Hopefully we can get that up and running this year too. So that's some of the things that we've got coming up that is pretty good. I mean, we're like you, we work on donations and fundraisers. So do you guys have anything in the works that you're planning?
We are hoping to have a virtual 5K in April, so we're still in the planning phase of that. Yeah, unfortunately, some of our traditional fundraisers that we do each year, I think every single one was canceled last year because of COVID. So we're
Yeah.
really hoping that we can find ways to amend our previous ways of fundraising so we can still hold the
Right.
fundraisers, but be
Yeah.
responsible for our community. So we have a virtual 5K coming up in April, and then we're hoping to do some other things leading into the summer.
Okay, so if somebody is interested or wants more information, how would they go about contacting you? Through your website, Facebook page, I would assume?
Yes, we do have
Okay.
a website, wiseagainstviolence.org, but Facebook probably is the most direct route. Our administrative team have it set up to get alerts pretty regularly, so that would be the best place to go. Um, yeah,
Twitter. You have Twitter too.
we're
Okay.
trying.
Yeah.
We're trying really hard.
I know. I'm sure you guys are really, really busy right now because through the COVID, have you seen an uprise in domestic violence and sexual abuse?
Yes, definitely. It's been coming in waves, so we will go certain stretches of time where we're normally very busy. We're not getting any calls, and it does seem to correlate with some of the shutdown. Sometimes when we've noticed with our outreach clients, especially, they would wait until their abusive partners went to work and then they would call, and now they're not getting those breaks, and so they're not able to call and continue things like safety planning or planning to leave the home, but also they're in the home for longer durations of time with their abusive partners, so things are escalating more quickly. So we're seeing a lot more intense situations happening, which is unfortunate. And then
Right.
normally through Christmas we see shelter requests slow down, and we really didn't see that this year. We saw more shelter requests during the Christmas season than I think we've ever had. So
Yeah. Well, we're praying that, we can open up more shelters for women and their families. So it has definitely, I mean, I'm a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault myself. So I know that, having a resource out there is really key to helping you get past all of that. So I'm really thankful for what you do for our communities and for the ladies, and I'm praying for your safety because I know this is pretty stressful for you right now. And is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
um, no, I think we really touched on everything that I was hoping to share. I definitely wanted to make a point to thank the community because it really is those. I mean, we have people that every month when they go to Sam's Club, they grab something for us, and it might not seem like it makes a difference, but it makes a huge difference. We have people drop off gas cards, and I mean, it's just incredible. Um, every time we have a client that we think, oh, maybe this is the client that we can't help them meet all their goals. What's going to
Right.
happen? Is this going to happen? Really? Every time that happens, we have a church step up, we have a donor step up, we have somebody on Facebook, or sometimes even a former client step up to help. So there's just always someone in the community that's willing to step up and help, and it's really, I don't know, it can be very depressing work, but I think for
Right.
our staff, that's one of the most rewarding things, to just see that we're not in this alone. Our neighbors are more than willing to step up and help us and help our clients.
Yeah, that's huge, definitely. Well, I thank you for sharing your information with us today, and make sure that you sign up for their their website and any kind of updates or anything they have going on. So thank you so much, Brittany, and God bless.
Of course. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah.